close the eyes. And then inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, and then just open it up 60-degree, palms reaching up, and then touch each of the fingertips with the thumb. Breathe long and deep, and really stretch up. Exhale, drop the hands down, and then now what you're going to do is you're going to touch the thumb to pinky here. So just kind of up.
Have a nice day.
Yes, have a nice day. So just touch. Just close your eyes. And touch, touch. And then begin to open the eyes. Look at the tip of the nose. I'm just touching the Mercury finger, the pinky. Activating your communication skills. Your ability to receive information, to process information, to articulate this information, to consolidate the information, be concise, be direct, and also to know, the jargon, the sort of miscellaneous information from the information that gives you energy and that gives you clarity. Let's just continue to touch, looking at the tip of the nose. You're not here for very long, so let's try our best. You may feel somewhat, uncomfortable, as the pinky a lot of times is not working. We don't really exercise the pinky as our other fingers. So strengthening that sort of pinky muscle may cause a sort of spasms or sort of shakes. Just hold it here. And the other fingers, just kind of let them do what they want to do. We're mainly focused on the thumb in contact with the pinky, looking at the tip of the nose, straight spine. And just become as sensitive to what this sensation is doing to your whole physical body, your physiological structure. What we're doing is we're repatterning the physiological structure through activating the pinky finger, which is connected to the brain. All fingers are connected to the brain. All fingers, when activated in certain ways, creates nuances in the brain that promotes more of a creative mindset that's able to adapt, to change, and to try new things. So we're supporting the learner's mind. As we get older, especially after 35, we can get very fixed-minded. Very, very fixed-minded. To the point where the creative mind begins to set itself into a certain thought form. With the learner's mind, we're quite revolutionary, quite evolutionary and resurrectionary, rather than fixed, rigid, this, that. You can go slow, you can go fast. Just feel the sensations moving through the body. Breathe long and deep. Do not hold your breath. It's going to be very extra uncomfortable. You're almost there, so keep going. It's very, very short time, so you should feel very enthusiastic about continuing. And just, you're focusing on your articulation of information, your ability to process and to know the jargon, the kind of miscellaneous randomness, versus the actual information that gives you energy, that gives you inspiration, and that gives you a sense of clarity. Inhale. Exhale. Continue, hold. Inhale. Press the tongue to the roof of the mouth, squeeze up and in. Exhale. Inhale. Squeeze up and in, press the tongue to the roof of the mouth. Exhale. Relax. You can close the eyes. Move the head side to side. other direction. And kind of shake the shoulders. Tuck in the chin so you can feel it in the back of the neck. And then inhale, exhale. So we're going to tune out. So bring the hands together. The heart, inhale, exhale, inhale. Sa nam. Again. Sa nam. Last time. Sa nam. Bow to yourself in your practice. So there is a difference between miscellaneous, sort of energyless, mindless information that is full of jargon. That's kind of how, the matrix system works. We want to talk about the matrix and the system. All of this information, these teachings, the Black Madonna teachings, the sort of oracle teachings, before the immune priesthood, which was the real sort of pharaoh, right, dynastic Egypt, with the immune priesthood was, basically a sort of descendant, I like to say, of the sort of high priestess, right, which belonged to Egypt more 12,000 years ago, right? And there's sort of archaeologists are discovering that a lot of these structures, these sort of pre-dynastic structures, are actually belonging to a civilization that possessed technology that is quite technology we can't even use today. With the metallithic structures, the metallithic stones that they use is we can't even with cranes and our current technology civilization be able to do that. So, the establishment of the matrix, the system, right, goes from the immune priesthood with the sort of, you can sell your ascension, you can, purchase your afterlife, right? So, with the weighing of the heart, right, you could literally give the immune priest sort of precious material, right, that would basically, you could buy your ticket into the afterlife, right? You could buy your ticket into the ascension, right, where you can, you can buy your clearing of karma, right? And we know today that doesn't work, right? You cannot buy your sort of clearing of karma. It's only you with you. So that's kind of the first, I think, of the real first sort of scrambling of information that happened, because there were original teachings 12,000 years ago, probably in a matriarchal civilization with, technology that is quite, even we can't even grasp our head around this sort of technology that is seen in ancient Egypt with these massive metallithic structures. And these tools that they use was not what we think of sticks and ropes and just kind of hitting at rock with a stone and just kind of chiseling, right? They had diamond technology, diamond laser technology that we today, I don't even think we know how to necessarily use that to cut through granite or cut through really, really tough rock that's not easy to just kind of cut through. So that is pure evidence that, there's a deeper layer to ancient Egypt that has dynastic Egypt basically on top of it, right? So all of this is evidence to the sort of immune priesthood beginning in the dynastic Egypt, sort of a descendant of the high priestesses, right, of pre-dynastic Egypt. And the scrambling of information has a lot to do with the as we see in our current society, the withholding, the discriminating, the hoarding of it. Precious information is a part of a slave society, right? And You know, there are beings who created this slave society, right? So where you see the oligarchs, you know, we call the 1%, the oligarchs are, you know, this high, you know, the sort of given permission and access to everything, right? So, you know, there's different systems that have been on this planet, and it's not always a slave system, right? And the slave system is not so much you're a slave to whatever oligarch that oversees everything, right, and has their hand in almost every sort of corporation, industry. We're talking about you're slave to your own mind. Because with information that gives you clarity, inspiration, and information that gives you energy, you can be quite creative, and you can be the individuals that actually invent technology, invent new culture, invent new science, right? Because a lot of these Renaissance and these individuals like Nikola Tesla, they were just complete average people. You know, they were not oligarchs. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of the people that create these massive waves of advancement or progress or discovery, either it be art or science, are quite have a sort of sovereignty of the mind, and that's why they're able to access this. But when we have that slave mentality, what happens is we deplete all our energy. We have no energy left. We get ourselves into situations out of low self-worth, low self-esteem, and what happens is we can't really hold a space that's fertile enough to actually, you know, creativity to flourish. So the information, you know, we're in an information age, but we're also in a saturated information age where a lot of the information is going to be complete hogwash, complete jargon, just doesn't make any sense, it's mindless, it's just random, it's meaningless. You know, so a lot of young people are experiencing, especially younger generations, are understanding like there's some kind of mindless and meaningless information that's being dumped into the media, right? That gives you no energy, no inspiration. And that's what we call a non-reality, where you have no inspiration, you have no sense of energy. With no energy, you have no sense of reality, right? Because energy is an alchemical force. An alchemical force is reality. Reality of the process of trees and the sort of phase cycles, rhythms of trees and nature is very alchemical. It transfers information tree to tree. It transmutes energy. It transforms energy, such as the transformation of leaves, you know, into acorns, you know, acorns into flowers, these type of things. And then it transcends, meaning the tree can transcend the environment. So if the environment is harsh, if the environment is, you know, a sort of catastrophe, the earth, the trees would transcend, right, the environment. And that's alchemical force. That's real inspiration. So a lot of these scientists, artists, mathematicians, a lot of times they got their sort of, we talk about their power, either it's recognition or discovery or creativity, through the ability to have the sovereignty of their own mind, to know the difference between information that is straight up mindless, meaningless, just jargon that makes no sense, charlatan, versus the information that actually gives you inspiration, it gives you clarity, and it also gives you clarity, gives you inspiration, it also gives you energy. You know, I'm sure a lot of us, you know, we listen to information and just automatically we're just like, something ain't right. You know what I'm saying? Information is meant to give you an alchemical impact. It's meant to, you know, penetrate you in a way where it opens the mind, not confines and traps, slave of the mind. So a lot of information, pretty much from 12,000 years ago onward, you know, in the dynastic Egypt, a lot of the information has been designed to be very complicated, more so than what is necessary, right? So the more complicated the information is, the less likely you are to really decipher and to really get to the original information, right? So a lot of the teachings, even of the Bible, there's an original source, right? Because we didn't really have the printing press until the 1800s. So before that, there was probably a long period of just oral tradition, right? Storytelling, right? So there are always sort of original information, and the original information is going to give you inspiration, it's going to give you clarity, and it's going to give you energy, right? It's going to give you an alchemical force, right? You're going to feel that alchemical force. So information can be verbal, it can be nonverbal. Information can be musical, information can be mathematical. Information can even be your aura, can be the aura of the tree. There's information in everything. Your environment, your house gives off information. Your sort of frames in the people in the frames, what you have on your iCloud. There's information that you're constantly accessing, you're constantly processing, you're constantly filing, you're constantly like a computer. But I think what's happening on this planet is that people are understanding that they need to really understand the mindless, meaningless, random information versus the information that actually has clarity, inspiration, and energy. So, what I've discovered is that, Charlotte, with a vast information age, that is, a lot of charlatans. There's a lot of information of lies. So I don't, there's people who have PhDs who claim, I am the expert of the expert, but with no sense of clarity and inspiration and energy within yourself, right? No sense of original sort of foundation that gives you a sense of integrity. You could just be spilling out just whatever, for the sake of whatever. And that's what people do. It's like, I'm just going to put out whatever for the sake of whatever. And I think people on this planet are starting to realize, like, I don't feel energy. I don't feel inspiration. I don't feel clarity from this. Like, I don't feel that alchemical force that brings about this just movement of my creativity. I'm sure we've listened to music. I'm sure we've listened to the news or, gathered some kind of information where it did nothing for us. It didn't bring any sensation of movement of the psyche. It just was just random. You know what I'm saying? It's like bringing purpose to randomness. So that's why I gave you this meditation, so that we can begin to navigate this high information age, this high age of all kinds of information. But a lot of it is like I said with the Immune priesthood. The dynastic Egypt, they did not have the original technology. They were given the original technology from their elders, an elder civilization that had technology that they offered to dynastic Egypt. And just like their original information that people are kind of spinning off of and creating their own sort of claims of it, and their own sort of distorting it and making it their own. So to know original information is really just to know your own intuition, because you're great surfing the web type of thing, surfing the internet, is your ability to really surf your own Akashic record. That's really the great gift, is to know how to surf your own Akashic record, because your Akashic record is the original information of you and this earth. A lot of what appears like the Wizard of Oz, that who's a charlatan, right? A fake, hoax, magic show, that's what's going on. So really, the individuals who know how to transurf their own Akashic record their own library, their own soul's library, are going to be the ones who know how to know the original information versus information that unfortunately designed to create the slave mind thing for, you know, I don't know, oligarch type of agendas that are designed in a sort of work slave society for, you know, thousands of years ago, as a way to keep the sort of distribution of wealth controlled. When you have control of the distribution of wealth, you have basically the power. If you have control over the distribution of wealth, you have the power, right? And that power, you can use it for your own agenda. And, you know, whatever created this was wanting access to this planet and the planet's resources. So this probably goes beyond just human beings. This is probably like extraterrestrials that wanted access to this planet, but they knew that in order to get access, they had to create a system where these oligarchs, these elites, or whatever you want to call them, they basically can control the distribution of wealth. So that also controls the careers, the education, the salary, the cost of living, everything, right? So information is just going to get more pressurizing, more intense, and it's just going to become more of like people are going to feel like they're getting mental collapse or mental breakdown because of that information. And if you don't have like a mind practice, you're just going to get wrapped up, you're going to get sucked right in, and you're not going to know what's going on. You're not going to know what from what is this, what is that. You're going to feel just bombarded. You're going to be overthinking, and then what's going to happen is you're going to become robotic. You know, a lot of people, not a lot of people, but yeah, a lot of people they're getting too wrapped up in their head. So what's happening is they're becoming robotic. They're losing the sensation of their heart. They're losing the sensation of their body. They're losing the sensation of their mantra, their soul, their authenticity, you know, their instinct, their intuition. They're stepping out of that primal force of like the lion and the bear and the tiger, and they're becoming robotic, right? And that's kind of partially a part of an agenda for the future is robots. Robotic mind, because robotic mind is basically the opposite of sovereign mind, right? And we've seen robotic mind throughout time and time again on this planet in different forms. When we think of the time of Moses and the Israelites and the freedom of the Israelites, you know, how they created that was through recognizing, wait a minute, we're becoming robots. Let's create a spiritual practice. You know, as the Israelites said, let's create a spiritual practice where we can basically deconstruct this robotic intelligence we've been in for probably multiple generations. So how you dismantle this robotic artificial intelligence is through your primal life force, right? So that's why there's great value in the indigenous culture, because though there's, you know, the colonialists, imperialists, are going to call them barbarians and savage and all kinds of, you know, weird stuff, right? The colonials, the imperialisms of this planet, right? But the one thing about these sort of Native American culture, these sort of shamanistic cultures of like South America, North America, Australia, all kinds of regions, is that there's a sense of being sovereign in your mind, being creative in a simple way and yet an extraordinary way. Sometimes simplicity is better than just all this, you know, whatever, jargon. You know what I'm saying? I've read so many papers in college that was just jargon. Like, I'm like, only really a paragraph was like, okay, thank you, I just need that paragraph. Why is it all of this extra, right? It just confuses you. So I think that kind of robotic mind of rational, it leaves out the room for you to be instinctual, intuitive, and for you to kind of feel into it and to trust yourself, right? Because ideally, indigenous people, they were all about generations of newfound creativity, generation of newfound sovereignty, of greater energy, of greater impact, sort of that shamanistic mind where you're able to find within yourself your success or your victory or your completion or your fulfillment. And now today, with the sort of absence of this kind of indigenous people and Native American people, is that a lot of people don't feel complete or fulfilled, and they don't feel very secure or confident within themselves. They feel very codependent, very reliant, very incompetent, very complacent, and very much that they don't have a sense of control. So even though the indigenous people, the Native American people, were very simple, right, yet so extraordinary, right? I mean, they could use a simple mantra, a simple meditation, and you would get this whole sort of transcendental experience. Like, you didn't need to, do all this, that, and the other to get this, sense of soul embodiment. You know what I'm saying? Now today it's like you have to do this, and it's so complicated to get your soul in your body, right? And it was simple, it was direct, it was straight to the point. And that's why individuals, they had more sense of I know myself, right? Confidence, character, rite of passage, sense of I'm a woman, I'm a man, I feel able and capable of using that alchemical force within myself to shift my reality, shift my mind. I have an ability to do that myself. I can do it. So that's why the whole word of pilgrimage, for this ancient world was very much about you, challenging yourself, you being the manifester of what you think you can do, how far you can go, your thought, your self-concept. The shamanistic journey was all about your great self-concept, your great thought, the great challenge, you pushing yourself further, knowing that you can go further, knowing that you can do different things, knowing that you can be creative in different things. So when people would do those pilgrimage, in many ways, it was a way to free the mind, to create freedom. Even the pilgrimage to North America from Europe, it was seen as taking back freedom of my own mind, because only those who had a sense of freedom or sovereignty of their mind were actually able to make it. Because some of these voyages and these journeys are not easy. Either it be physically, you're kind of like a marathon type of vibe, it's very physically vigorous. It could be mentally, it could be psychologically, right? Think about the French Revolution. The French Revolution, that was very psychologically just aggressive. So people who took the pilgrimage and said, you know what, let's, free our minds and, let's, go in a new direction and move our energy. That was quite challenging psychologically, right? And physically as well. So the shaman's journey is freeing for the mind in the way that you get to experience. I think everybody wants to experience. They want to have the sensation of their ability to decide their own thought. Mommy, daddy, society, ideology, no. I decide my own thought. Hell, if I'm born Catholic, I'm gonna get married in a Hindu wedding, a Hindu wedding, right? So there's a sense of I am the composer. I am the one, Not, this is the one, that is the one, and, I just pray that, I am the one, right? So that gives you a sense of accountability, responsibility, and it also gives you a sense of time is precious. Let me just do it. Let me go for it. Let me really, really create the mind I want, the body I want, the spirit I want, whatever it is. And that is why, that shamanistic mind is able to really be more liberated, right? Because even though the culture seems very simple compared to our, colonialist type of American dream, but there's a sense of liberation that, this American dream doesn't necessarily have, right? I mean, people may feel liberated because they got retirement, they got vacation, but what is that? Like, your whole life is just, you don't feel liberated until vacation, until retirement. So, that's it. We think that liberation is you can only have it when you're only a short amount of time in the year, right? Like, liberation is only, 2 hours of the day. But in the shaman mind, every moment was programmed and trained yourself. Every moment is an liberation, a moment of liberation, or opportunity of liberation. So, with the shaman's mind and the indigenous people, the Native American people, it was like the challenge, the blessing was to be liberated. So I think that's why a lot of young people are, wanting to get high, and, ayahuasca ceremonies, and, smoking weed, and, to get that state that I want to be liberated consistently, not just, what I'm saying? I want to get out of the trap or the whatever slave of my mind. And people think, they're looking for something that will give them that high. And when I mean high, it's like you're getting higher than whatever ideological, social programming thought. So that's why people want to get high. They want to get higher than the information. They want to have the eyes of the eagle. They want that sort of empirical, I can see clearly, right? And that's why, people are trying to, I want this, I want to get high and stuff. But really, how we get high consistently and hold that sort of high while being in the body, because that's important. You need to be in the body. You can be high and black out and, going from La La Land and, ayahuasca and whoa, but if you're not in your body, you can't retain the information. You can't integrate the information. You can't hold the information. And therefore, you can't utilize it. You can't actually, put it in the ground and make something and manifest with it. It becomes elusive. It becomes something like, it's like up there that you just can't get in the body. So, information with your soul, the shaman is like, I want information directly from my soul. Like, yes, I'll listen and, but because this world is such a polarity, you have to transcend duality in order to get information that is direct, clear, and gives you energy. So the shaman mind, the reason why these chiefs, this lineage of shaman, these lineage of chiefs have been deconstructed and abolished from this planet in all of different regions of this planet, is because that type of promoting of that freedom of the mind, when you're trying to create a system that is completely against that, that's dangerous. These people, they can put seeds in people's thoughts that are quite liberating. You know what I'm saying? So that shaman mind is just in the indigenous sort of original tribal essence of ourselves, where we have direct access to our soul. And that direct access to our soul is not needing a third party, not needing being reliant on this, being codependent on this. It comes direct from our own culture that we create within our lineage, and with our own sovereignty of the mind, with our own sort of, I want to participate in Hinduism, Buddhism, I want to participate in Christianity because I want to, right? Because I want to study that so that can enhance my connection with my own soul. It's meant to enhance your connection with your own soul, not to your soul is way out here and you can only contact your soul through this thing, this person, this whatever thing. It's meant to enhance the connection you already have with your soul. So I'm going to leave you guys with this because I think I got pretty much the download. So thank you and Sat Nam.